Hello, I am so excited to be back for another round of Black Girl Magic Book Chat. My name is Larissa McNeil. I am the African American Resource Center Coordinator for the Tulsa City County Library. And once again, I am going to be reading books by Black authors and talking to y'all about them. One of my favorite seasons is Halloween, right after my birthday. And so this time around, I am going to be reading horror novels, thriller novels, sci-fi novels by Black authors, this time both male and female, and chatting with y'all about them. So let's jump right into the first book that I chose this time around. So I chose Fledgling by Octavia Butler. So when I was looking up books to read, I literally just Googled horror novels by Black authors, and Octavia Butler, although she's more sci-fi than horror, she came up constantly. And Octavia Butler is someone who is well known for breaking the barriers. She was the first Black author who kind of tapped into that sci-fi world, and she received so many accolades for it, and I can understand why. So Fledgling is it's a vampire novel, and I like vampires. So Fledgling starts with a seemingly young person or a thing, and they wake up and they are in a cave and they have no memory of how they've gotten there, what has happened to them, nothing. And so over the course of several days, they sleep through pain, they kill animals to eat, and as you're reading, you're like, okay, oh my god, what is this? So we find out that this being is someone called Shori, and Shori is what they call Aina, which is, for all intents and purposes, a vampire. They drink blood to live. So Shori is traveling through, and she comes across this decimated neighborhood. All the houses are burned down. She can smell flesh. She can smell that this used to be a community, right? And so she feels this sort of connection to this, but she doesn't know why, because she doesn't know who she is. And so she spends a lot of time just kind of walking through, kind of reacclimating herself to being alive. And so she's picked up by this young guy, and he's about 23, but she looks like a child apparently. So he's thinking, oh my god, she's lost, she looks dirty, I need to help her. And so he picks her up, and that's kind of when we learn for the first time, or maybe not the first time, but we learn definitively that Shori is not human. She bites this guy, and he's kind of like, what? But it's a pleasurable bite, and so they begin this sort of relationship. We found out a little bit later that she's not alone, so she has a dad, or several dads. That's kind of part of the lore. And he comes to find her, and when he finds her, he takes her to his community, where he finds out that the people who had been killed in that community that had been decimated were all of her mothers and her sisters. So the way that this community works is that men and women live separately, for various reasons, but they all take care of each other. So there are several families sort of within this, and they all take care of each other. They consider them each other brothers and sisters, mothers, grandfathers. They call them elder fathers, though. And so all of the women in her family have been killed, and so she finds out that she's got all of these male relatives, and so she's like, okay, great. Me and my person, right, is the guy who picked her up. They're called symbiotes. And symbiotes are the people that they keep with them to take blood from them. So they're picked up and they get a week. Her dad says, hey, I'm going to give you a week to get all of your affairs together, for Wright to get his affairs together. Then I'm going to pick you up and we're going to live together because you need to be around people who are like you. And so the week goes by and they're waiting to be picked up, and they're not picked up. And so they go to where this community is, and they find it also desecrated. Like, in the same way that her mom and sisters were killed, so are her dad and her brothers. Burned. Everything is burned down. So now she's kind of like, what is going on? The thing that we start to learn, though, is that most of the Aina are white. They have white skin, they're tall, they're pale. And then we learn that Shuri is actually an experiment. They have given her some human blood, and not only is this blood human, it's black, and so she looks black. And she has some capabilities that Aina do not have. And so we start to kind of see that there's a reason why her family's being targeted, right? And so she takes Wright and a couple of the other symbiotes who have belonged to her brothers, and they try to find another group of Aina. So they live in Washington. They travel down to California, where they found another community of Aina living together. And Shuri explains to them, like, hey, I remember nothing about who I am, about where I come from, only what I've been told since I've been woken up. But I do know that my entire family is gone, and I think that I know why my entire family is gone. And so they are taken in by this other group of Aina, and the next day they're also attacked. But one of the things that Shuri can do that other people cannot is stay awake during the daytime. So we there's so much lore about vampires, right? And one of those things is that they sleep during the day. They can't walk in the sun. And that is true in this book. But because of these experiments that were done on Shuri, and the reason that they gave her the black skin is because they wanted to be able to walk in the sun. So she can walk during the daytime. She can't really walk in the sun. She still has to cover her entire body. But this is fascinating for everybody. And so when they are attacked, what has been happening is that they have been attacked during the daytime, where everyone is asleep. This time, Shuri stays awake, and so do all the humans that live with them. And they catch who is killing them. But it's not as simple as we think. And so we find out that she's being targeted. And she's being targeted because of her skin. And, you would think that vampires are beneath this, right? Like, they've got so many other things to be worried about besides her skin. But what's really interesting about this story is that, and I don't want to just tell you the end. You got to read it. It was great. Not what I was expecting. I wasn't ready, right? And all of it is subtle, right? We figure out, and they say pretty, not maybe early on, but like midway through, that the reason that she's being targeted is because she is half Aina, half human, or part Aina, part human. And so the Aina are worried about their blood being diluted, if you will. And not only is she part human, she's part black human. And this is America, and some of the Aina even say, like, even the humans treat them like trash. When I moved into, a lot of them are immigrants, and they say, when I moved to this country, they were being enslaved. So why would we want that to be a part of us? And so this book, in a very interesting way, kind of brings that to the forefront. And not only just like race, right? It brings to the forefront this idea of family. And it's so hard to explain the lore that comes with this. But in a sense, these Aina and humans live together peacefully, because the humans are needed for their blood, but the Aina need them for emotional stability, if you will. And so you kind of learn about, and these humans have to like agree, like they're not like forced, right? And so you kind of, it made me think a lot about that African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Because literally in these communities, you've got people from all types of people with all types of interests and wants and needs, etc. And they're all here together taking care of each other. And it's strange because they're vampires and humans. But at the end of the day, you felt that love between these families, and you felt like, okay, this is weird, but it works somehow, right? And I really, really enjoyed it. I was surprised, kind of just like, I was surprised. I didn't know what to expect, but it was good. So I say this is my first horror thriller novel. There's murder, there are bigots, there's love, there's family, and it makes for a truly interesting tale. So, try it out. I'll be back next Monday, where I will be reading The Cutting Season by Attica Locke. You'll want to check it out.